All right, this video is going to be a little bit different. I've had a few comments and emails, and I get people calling me, just random people a lot. They want to know, how do they get started if they want to be a dog trainer? So there's a lot to it. Everybody that I talk to tells me they think I have the best job in the world. And how awesome would it be just to be able to be around dogs all the time and play with dogs, which that part's cool. But what people don't understand is probably 75% of this is not fun. Okay, so for instance, you better have a lot of patience if you're gonna, especially if you're gonna do board and trains. Now, if you're someone that just does house calls or classes where people bring their dogs and they leave, that's totally different. When you're keeping other people's dogs, it's a whole different ball game because you're responsible for the dog's health, you're responsible for their well-being, you gotta train them, you gotta keep them clean, you gotta make sure they don't run away, you know. Okay, so that's just starting. First off, you better have a dog bath. You better have some way to clean, wash dogs because they get dirty. Dogs are, especially like in my setting out here in the country, they run around a lot. They're gonna roll in poop. They're gonna roll in dead things. They're gonna get muddy. They're gonna get covered in their own spit and drool. You name it. They, in their kennels, they poop, they pee, they throw up, they gorge themselves with water, and then they throw it all up on the floor. You got to clean it up. They get in it. That part sucks. Okay, so got to have a dog bath or something. If you want to wash dogs in your bathtub in your house, that's up to you. But I used to do that, and I'll tell you what, that was the best thing that I've ever purchased for this. Kennels. A lot of people keep them in big crates like that. Some dogs you have to do that, especially dogs that aren't trained, housebroken. You almost have to keep them in those because if not, they're not learning anything in a big kennel like this. They'll just pee and poop all over the floor in there, and then you got to clean it up, and that pee will destroy your floors. It'll even eat the concrete away eventually. So you have to put them in a crate that's just big enough for them to move around comfortably, get up, turn around, lay down, but not so big that if they pee, that they can get away from it, because that's not teaching them anything. They're just like, all right, I'll go pee over here in the corner, and then I can get away with it. Also, when you're housebreaking a dog and you're using a crate, don't put a bunch of towels and bedding in there because they pee in that. The towels, the pillows, whatever you put in there, absorb up the pee, and it doesn't bother the dog. They're going to have to experience having to avoid that pee or stepping in their pee a couple times to realize they don't like it, for them to realize they don't want to pee in that crate. So, and then that's another thing with bedding, if you're going to do this. I use these Kuranda cots. I use these because there are no loose edges for them to chew on and bite up and rip up. I used to try to use like dog beds and pillows, and I had one time when I had a dog eat a bunch of stuffing out of their dog bed and had an emergency. Stuffing gets caught in their intestines. So I really discourage blankets and anything with stuffing in it. Also, you better have some meds on hand, because even though I try to, you know, if you're going to do board and trains, I try to get everybody's vet records. They bring me a copy of their vet records, so I have all that stuff. You got to have Bordetella, which is kennel cough. Really want dewormers, flea and tick control on the dog before they come. Rabies. you know, that's a good thing to have, but I'm not that worried about that here because I'm not just letting clients' dogs run around out in the woods and get into fights with wildlife. So, but you bet conjunctivitis, which is an eye infection, that stuff will spread like wildfire. So you better have some eye ointments on hand, because one dog gets conjunctivitis, 3 days later they'll all have it, and they'll all have green pussy stuff coming out of the corners of their eyes right here. Cleaning, you're constantly cleaning. Mops, brooms. I mean, look at this floor. Look at all that. That's just from them drinking and drooling all over the place. So if you're gonna, like, people actually do this inside their house and they don't have a shop like this, I can't even imagine what their floors would look like if they're not just cleaning 24 hours a day. The hair is insane. I sweep this floor all the time and it still is always covered in hair. Whether you're for them or against them, if you're going to do board and trains and you're going to have a bunch of dogs that aren't familiar with each other, you better have some remote collars on hand. I use the remote collars more than anything to prevent fights. So if I see dogs giving each other the stink eye, I can correct them and divert their attention away from each other, so I'm not having dog fights to break up. I've had some bad ones, and they are not fun. They'll ruin your day. What else? Leashes. Better have lots of leashes. Don't buy the cheap stuff from Petco or PetSmart. Buy good quality leather leashes with the big heavy brass clasps. Collars. I do not use just the Petco PetSmart collars when dogs get here. What I do is I use, look at this mess. This is the kind of crap. Where are they? I think, oh, here's one. I use what's called a dominant dog collar, which is basically, here, let me show you what it is. I don't like the plastic buckles on collars because dogs wrestle, they bite each other's necks and whatnot, and those plastic clasps, buckles break, or they've had them on the dog so long that they're brittle and the little pinchy deals break off. I use this. I put it around the dog's neck. Okay, every dog that comes in here, I put one of these on because I know when I put a leash on it, it's not gonna get, Jesus. It's not gonna get away from me, and they're quick and easy, and they're not gonna, the dog's not gonna back out of it or anything like that when I have it on a leash, especially ones that don't walk on leashes well. It's not gonna alligator roll out of the collar. These two. Oh, you also, you're gonna do board and trains. Would you guys, come on now. Be prepared to never leave your house, because unless you're a big outfit that can afford to hire help, you can't go anywhere because the dogs have to be fed. They have to be let out. You have to monitor them, make sure they didn't pee, poop, puke in their kennels. So you're gonna be a prisoner at your house. You better get used to a lot of barking. The biggest thing probably is your social life is gonna take a huge hit if you're used to going out and hanging out and going somewhere for the night. No more of that, because someone's got to be here to take care of these dogs. You know, dogs aren't like farm animals that live out in the field or in a barn that you just throw some stuff out there and they take care of themselves for a day or two. It's constant. They can't let themselves out. You can't just leave them out. You can't just leave client dogs outside roaming around in a barn. So, and you know, there's a lot of responsibility. A dog gets seriously hurt on your watch, that's on you. That comes out of you're paying for that vet bill. I've had to do it a couple times. Had some dog fights break out, and I ended up having to take the dogs to the vet. That came out of my pocket. I made it nothing on the training. So, what else? So yeah, I don't want to discourage you so much, but people don't realize that most of this stuff, it's work. It's not just play. The videos are fun to make. Once the dog starts learning stuff, then it gets fun. But there's a big downside to doing it. So just, I hope I answered all the questions. I think I've pretty much covered it all. Better have lots of dog bowls. The stainless steel ones that stack inside of each other. The dogs can't chew them up. You can throw them all in a dishwasher or wash them all in the dog bath. Something that's easy to clean, non-porous surfaces. You know, you want it to kind of be like a hospital a little bit. The easier things are to clean, the better they are for me. And I think that pretty much covers it. If you have any more questions, just put them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. But, so yeah, everybody says I have the best job in the world and how awesome it would be. And everybody wants to do this, but they don't realize what really goes on most of the time. Like, it gets frustrating, and you honestly, sometimes you get to the point where you don't want to see another dog for a little while. But on the other hand, it's your job. So, yeah. That should cover everything. We're going to do some videos with Bosco and Fitz later on. I got a couple bull terriers coming in this evening. They're really cool. And so we'll do some more videos. But until then, we will see you on the next video. Toodles.